This is like a two question in one question.
Okay.
All right. What are things that women and men do to one another with like a flirting sign or flirting game or whatnot
Okay.
that makes them melt? So what are things that men do that make women like, oh my God, girl, he should stop it? And what are things girls do that make guys like, bro, like I'm hot and steamy, man. Just don't TikTok me right now. I don't know. But
Okay,
so
so the first two categories that comes to mind when we're talking about a first date is physical, flirty signals, and verbal.
okay.
So physical cues, which I will admit a lot of men do not pick up on these cues. Okay, so listen up. Some of them are obvious, some of them are a little more subtle, but you'll hear guys the next day be like, well, I had no idea she was interested in me. And she's like, you kidding me? Like, how could you not know?
Right.
So it's paying attention to those little things. So to go back to what we were talking about before, when you're in conversation and someone's leaning in, she's already interested.
Interested, yeah, interested.
This, what is that telling you, right? It's delivering a completely different signal. Exactly, eye contact. If I'm really in tune with you and you're telling me a story and I'm just lost in those eyes, that's going to tell you something. So pay attention to those things. Some people have physical things they do, whether it's, playing with their hair, biting their lip. Not everyone does that, but some people will kind of get
Is biting the lip conscious or subconscious with women?
Sure, there are women out there that do it on purpose, but I think some of those things are subconscious. Like, I don't think I actually have any of those behaviors, whether it's fixing the hair or whatever, but I've seen people that do it and then they don't even notice that they do it.
Okay.
They just get into that zone of like, oh, I like this guy, I'm flirting with him, and so their body language changes.
Okay.
How you dress on a date will tell you that, how you present yourself. Yeah, eye contact, lots of smiling. If they look miserable, they're probably not having a good time. If she's grinning ear to ear, that's probably a good sign. Leaning into you. Reasons to touch you. Women will often do this where they'll laugh at your joke and then they'll put their hand on your shoulder.
True.
Or on your leg, or just like swat you playfully and be like, oh, come on, when you're teasing them. It sounds so cheesy.
You're so silly. Like that, right?
Yeah. Punchy, but
well, not punch, but like the playful punch. She's not trying to Mike Tyson me or anything.
It's like all these little physical cues that we don't really notice. Right. And men will do that too. I find that men will lean in. Men, if they're bold and they're really having a good time on the first date, they'll grab your hand, which I think is really sweet, just holding your hand at the table while you're talking. And then they often do the lower back hold, which a lot of women love when they're walking.
If she likes you, she will allow it. Because that is, I don't know, there's something about the lower back hold that just endorphins or something. I have no clue.
Yeah, it's super sexy. So if somebody's not interested in you, they're probably not going to be doing any of these things. However, it's not to say, I don't want people to go on a date and be like, oh, well, she did none of those, she hates me. Some people are less physical. Right. Or are less comfortable with the physical aspect on a first date.
Probably more traditional.
So don't jump to conclusions. However, these are all things that you can be looking out for. And then you have your verbal cues, compliments. If you walk into a date and the woman says, man, you look really handsome. Like, you look good in your photos, but in person? Something, if they lead with something like that, you're like, oh man, okay, already.
Damn, boy, Instagram does no justice with you. I don't know.
But right away, okay, good. I know he's attracted to me. I know I look like my photos. He's pleased. That kind of takes the pressure off there. People saying flirty things, wanting to know more about, who you are, saying, suggesting a third or a second date, suggesting that they want to see you again, suggesting that, complimenting you or thanking you for sharing things. Any of those that you got to pay attention to the verbiage. So anything that's like, what are you doing next week? Let's do that. Or like, oh, that'd be cool if you're talking about yoga. Oh, there's this yoga class I know of like next Wednesday. That'd be really cool if we tried that together. Okay. Any of these cues, we're blatantly handing you the signals going, okay. And then the more obvious signs are really obvious. Like if she makes a sexual pass. If she says, come back to my house, let's do this. Or come back to my house, let's have another drink. Or
that's a nightcap right there.
Right? If she was sexting you, if she was, sexting you before the date and revving you up, these are obvious signs that she is into you. It could just be a physical thing.
I want to add to that. Let's say, fellas, if she says something like, you look like you're trouble, that's a sign. And the perfect answer is, you look like you get in trouble. That it's just it's mystery, but it's also innuendo, indirect. But yeah, it keeps the spice going, I guess you can say.
That's exactly it. And you can tell right on a date what direction it's going in and what they're looking for. If it is, started out quite sexual, and you can feel that tension, you can feel that chemistry, and physically you're all over each other. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Those are way more obvious signs, right? It's all the little subtle things that we want to look out for. So just pay attention to body language, pay attention to how they speak and what they speak about, how they react to you. Those are all, and this works with all the other things that we spoke about, like putting your cell phone away, all those little details. If they offer to pay on the first date, those are also little signs that they like you, they care about you, and they want to see you again.
On the first date, if she offers to pay, I'm gonna say no. I asked you out, I'm paying. It's just old school to me. But I also like in one of your videos where you pointed out, but also if she offers, doesn't mean she's going to. It's just a gesture, like a respectful thing, right?
Right.
Where you can tell her no, and guys, don't fall for that trick. Like, bro, she's gonna spend, she's paying for half. F it. No, that might be a test too. That if you go for it, okay, he let me pay it. I don't know if I really want that second date with him. Not because I paid, but just, I don't know. I think guys should just pay for the first date, in my opinion.
And again, it depends on the person. I'm a little bit more old school, so I think the same way. However, a lot of guys nowadays will expect the reach over. They want to know that she is willing to pay or would at least to offer, but they don't expect her to. They know that
it shows independence on her end too. Like, yeah, we like women that are independent.
To not make them feel like you expect it.
Got it.
Or it's my right. No, you went on this lovely dinner, and it's amazing that he has offered to pick up the bill, and I'm appreciative of that. When you just sit back and don't offer to pitch in, and you don't care what the message you're giving off is, well, he should. Who is he? Who am I? Right?
She's sitting back like she got her stretchy pants on, right?
and it's okay to communicate about these things later on, right? A few dates into it, because so many people live by different rules. Some people are like, the man should pay for the first few. The person who thinks of the date or is the one to invite the other person out should pay. Women should never pay. They should pay Dutch from the start. There's so many different ideals out there that it's okay after so many dates to be like, what? How do you usually do this in a relationship? Like, what are your strategies? Because I do it this way, but I'm open to whatever. This is how I feel.
Okay.
Share that with them, and then listen, to their side of things, and find a common ground that works for both of you. It is a crappy way to lose someone.
Right.
Like, it's a silly thing to lose someone over. So if a woman is expecting you to pay on the first date and you don't, yet the date actually went amazingly, it's a silly reason. So tomorrow she might be so stuck on the fact, well, he didn't even pay. I expected him to pay, and he didn't even offer to pay, and I'm pissed off, and that's it. Missing an opportunity because there might be a reason why you didn't pay.
Right.
Maybe the person that you went out with before me thought about it with you and said, no, I want to pay half. We're going to go Dutch on this. I don't need to be taken care of. Maybe she gave you a hard time. I don't know that.
Right.
So it's definitely okay to communicate about those things.